Not requiring selective speaking autistic children to talk. And this is a real situation I have this year, where children are not speaking. They selectively don't speak. So we're not allowed to ask them to speak. Begin asking students, are you thinking about killing yourself if we have a hunch something is up? And I just had a whole day seminar on this in the high school district, current high school district. We're supposed to ask students now, are you thinking about harming yourself? Are you going to kill yourself? Are you thinking about this? Now, this is what, I have a lot more of this, but I'm not going to blow those your way here. This is what we have to deal with, and then we turn them loose on you. And then you wonder why some of them are the way they are. Are you ready for this? The old way of looking at it is different than the new way of looking at it in terms of students. The new way is that the learner is the center of the selfie universe. It's all about me. So now when we take a photo, hi guys. Not hi guys. That means then that this kid is right there. It's all about him. The old days, I'm here now, right? Everything is in I'm controlling, I'm the center. Yep, do for me, do for me. I'm the one. The old days, well, let's put them in their box here, okay? Now, the student was the recipient of the focus of other experts, if you will, or other adults, so that they were here. The arrows, notice, are very different in the direction, the focal point of education. So now parents are expecting schools and colleges to do the job that maybe they don't want to do or can't do at home. Or, honestly speaking, I just don't have the time to do, or resources to do. So we've stepped in as a lot of surrogate parents in a lot of cases. Wouldn't it be nice to go back to the days where you just had students come and wanted to learn, you talked, they went home, and you went home, and everybody just like, I taught, they learned, and here we go. That wasn't my world ever, was it yours? Yeah, to serve with love, I'm not sure that ever. But I addressed those concepts I just mentioned to you in these two books, the one you have, and the other one for parents, the compendium, the companion, I should say, of that. I wrote one for parents because parents are asking me, what do I do with my kid? I don't know what to do with my kid. I don't understand them, but they won't get off the phone. What they thought was good behavior control now is an addiction. Some parents are telling me their kids are addicted to their phone. Now that seems kind of odd, being addicted, like I'm addicted to my cup. Take it with me everywhere we go. But their brain is wired, not necessarily holding the phone, but what they can do with it and the emotional adrenaline chemical rush they get with all the power they have at their fingertips. It's an incredible difference to the last generation. Millennials are able to put it down and say, don't bother me anymore, I want to break. Gen Z is just living on it. It's who they are. Remove their phone, they get violent. Millennials, you can take it. I need a break. There's a very different mindset about how tech is used between the two generations. Yeah, there's some overlap. But consider the expectations real quickly here. Look at this. All this goes into the mix for you and for me every day. We teach young people and mid-career folks. And put a sense of entitlement to that. That's a lot to consider. So let me check in with you a second. Aside from attention span and quality of work, is there anything that gets in the way of active participation in student learning in your classes? Anything in the way of that? What's in the way? Share with me.
You mentioned mental health issues earlier. And that's the trend that I've noticed in the last 5 to 10 years, is that I've had a lot more mental health incidents in class. Has anybody experienced that where a student just rushes out of class for some reason? Okay, yeah, thank you. I have too. They break up, then they come into class. Now, how do you teach? Teaching, when they bring the baggage with them and they plunk it down next to their desk,
and the baggage starts like opening up and all starts crawling out, it's hard to even open a textbook or even talk about anything that day. I'm finding I have to do a lot more of that. Yes?
I'm really seriously thinking now when I'm teaching the difference between guys and girls a little bit with my young boys, how much video gaming is actually pulling away some of my male students compared to my female students.
Interesting.
Their social interactions.
You're going to like the statistics I'm going to show you in just a second. Very much so. Thank you. Yes?
I saw a TED Talk on analysis of depression, clinical depression, and a study suggested that societies without technological, mass communication doesn't have hardly any clinical depression symptoms. It seems to be that the technology is interfering with direct personal communication,
Yes.
and therefore, have you heard of such a study?
Yes. Yes, some African nations, some tribal nations as well. They're finding that families that spend time together are not distracted by devices, have interaction that's very different than interaction that you just send out and think you're interacting. And they're finding too that the go-between, I think, is because the go-between is like the Skype or the Zoom or the go-to-meeting things where you see people now. It's a lot closer to you than just sending information or data. And so now you get a little bit closer, right, with that. So they're finding that there was one study, I don't remember the name of the study. It's in one of my footnotes in my book. They did a study on the comparison between just sending data back and forth through text and through the imaging. And they found there's a lot closer. In fact, the military used that study to make sure that they could show their family members deployed overseas for that reason. So, yeah, I want to check on the teacher-student relationship for that site. Yeah.
We've always had students come unprepared, but usually the unprepared ones, or at least in the past, tended to be quiet. Now I'm seeing at least more of the unprepared ones willing to throw out opinion as if it were fact. They don't, and feel like they contributed. That's a little harder to deal with.
On the front end, my suggestion, if you'd like to hear one, on the front end of class would say, here are the parameters and this is the decorum for my class if you're going to share. Make sure it's clear. And refer to point 3 on the decorum. So we refer them back to that. That helps me, because it's true. People just want to share as if they know something, they're not really prepared. You're right about that. So how about smart devices? Are they in the way? I'm going to show you some information here, some graphs now about smartphone generation, this current generation, and whether or not it's ruined a generation of people. Look what it's done, and I'll share you the design of the study at the end of this data. Take a look at this. Not hanging out with friends. The inception of the smart, quote, iPhone. Look at the trending of the students that were surveyed. Which lends to your point, sir.
That correlation is not causation.
Correct, it's not, yeah. It's just simply survey data. How many of you guys love your 8 o'clock classes on Monday morning? There are 2 people crazy like I am. I love those classes. Yeah. But this is the survey. This is designed of that. Just take a quick look at that if you don't mind. That's where they got the data from.
Comment. These are dramatic changes, these percentages, but they're a lot more dramatic by the scale of your chart.
Yes.
If you put your scale, your scale of your chart
Right.
down from 0 to 100 like it should be, those percentage differences don't look nearly as big
That's
as
correct.
because they're not nearly as. You're talking about 5 or 6 percentage point changes in some cases, and they look like 20.
They look like 20 or 30, sure. That's Twengie's point there in her Atlantic Journal article. She wanted to exaggerate that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to also see this chart expanded in terms of the number of years. It started in 1990. I'm wondering how, if we went back to 60s, 70s, what that would look like.
Exactly. Yeah, I can tell you that my parents told me to get off the phone a lot when I was a kid. But that long black cord only stretched so far, so they heard everything I said. So, but you're right, you'll usually see that. So the studies and data collected can always be debated. There's always the other side of that. I share this with you because this was published in The Atlantic just recently by Ms. Twanke, who's a San Diego State professor. And not only is it having an impact amongst high school kids, but they're taking a look now. You need to understand what's going to affect you on another side, another quarter. And that is the placement exams at the universities are being dropped for English and math for remediation. And so where do you think students are going to go if they get into university needing remediation? Well, one, they're going to be in stretch classes, which are going to be longer classes to pick up some remediation in a regular class in a 4-year period. Secondly, if they choose not to do that stretch or pay the money for university, guess where they're going to go to college?